Can you guys hear me in Teams? Yeah, perfect, perfect, cool. Okay, so okay, can you guys see my screen as well? Can anyone confirm screen is visible? 1 second. Oops, sorry. Okay. Now I hope everyone is able to see my screen. Visible, right? Can anyone confirm? Okay, cool. Okay. First of all, good evening, everyone. I'm just yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Pradeep Sheth, and I'm here to for Angular training. So today we have a first session on Angular, and I just wanted to brief about like what we are going to do in this Angular training. And we are live on YouTube as well. So we are live in YouTube as well and in the Teams as well. Okay, so before that, I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself. My name is Pradeep, and I do have like 16 plus years of experience uh, into development as well as managing projects. I started my career with web forms, and then I worked on MVC and React, Angular, jQuery, SSS, many technologies, majorly Microsoft technologies. So that's my technology stack, and I came from a developer background, so I know what are the pain areas of developers are. So today we are here to learn Angular step by step, and thanks Questpond for providing me this opportunity. So what we are going to do here is, first of all, I'll just walk you through what we are going to cover as a part of this training. Okay, I hope everyone is able to see my screen. Do let me know if you are not able to see anything. So first of all, I think I have two screens, so I'll just close this Telegram chat. Yeah. Okay. So what are we going to do in this training? We are going to cover, and I'm sharing my notepad as well. So here, where I'm going to just note, I usually use a notepad for adding notes during the course of the training. So in this training, what we are going to do is majorly we are going to start with the basics, wherein we are going to understand about the basics of basic problems with the JavaScript which we usually face, right? And then we are going to talk about Angular. First of all, the TypeScript. We'll understand a little bit about the TypeScript. And today's major session would be on these only. Then we'll start with the Angular basics. We'll try to understand the structure of the Angular project, right? The way the Angular project gets created. And then in that, we are going to cover, so I'll just write down here, uh, TypeScript. Then we'll be learning about Angular basics, right? When I say basics, it's majorly I'm going to talk about how that when you create any Angular project, what that structure is going to be, and what each and every file in that project mean, right? That is very important when you want to learn Angular. Okay, then we have like different topics here: data binding, directives. These all topics have been already been shared here, and I think I'm just show you here. Click here. Yeah. So the topics are already been mentioned here. Okay, you can always go through this. But what we are going to do in this training is we are going to create a small project. I mean, I'm going to create a small project that also will keep on adding each and every concept in a same project. Okay, I'm not going to create a new project every time. what I'm going to do here is I'm going to keep on adding the same each and every concept into the same project, which ends up creating a small project for you. Okay, and in that we are going to learn a lot of new things, a lot of interesting things, a lot of I am going to show you some tricks as well. How can we develop very quickly in Angular, any screen or any component, right? Clear? You can go through this. So I'll not waste much time here. Let's start with little bit basics, and that's where I'm going to open my notepad here. So where we are going to write down what what we are going to talk in the JavaScript, right? So first of all, the lab requirement I'll just quickly talk about for this training. So in lab requirement, you need a Node.js installation. So you can install a Node.js. Node.js is very important. Without that, you will not be able to do anything. So I'll just, I'm sure everyone is aware about the Node.js. Where can we download it, right? Okay, I'll come to the why we need Node.js in this project. What is the importance of Node.js? I'll talk about that. And second is you need a Visual Studio code. Okay, for writing your code. Again, Visual Studio Code is one of the tool. You can use any tool. Like you have a lot of different tools like Vim. You have a what is that? WebStorm. Okay, many other. You can use any of the tools, but I prefer to go with Visual Studio Code. Okay, again, it's a free tool, free editor provided by the Microsoft, and I'll just walk you through as well what the tool is going to have and how can we debug and all those things using this tool. Okay, we don't need a Visual Studio as such a bulky what do you say, a software for developing any Angular project. We can do it, no doubt, but I would say Visual Studio Code is one of the easiest way to work on any kind of a client frameworks. Okay, clear? These are the two things, and later on I'll be just giving you some of the web APIs. I'm using some of the web APIs, ready-made web APIs. Okay, then now these web APIs will be needed when you want to connect your Angular application to any database or any APIs, right? To connect, to do a communication. Okay, because when I say Angular, it's basically a client framework. So you need a web API, and I'm going to show you. We have a ready-made APIs created for us during the course of time. I'll just go through that as well. Okay, so these are the minimum requirement for the training. Okay, and now let's start with little basics, right? JavaScript, a very common language, we use it, right? JavaScript. So JavaScript is a dynamic scripting language, right? This is what we say, right? Now, does anyone know like why we call it as a dynamic scripting language? I'm sure you may be using a JavaScript a lot, right? For writing what you writing validations, for writing small Ajax calls, right? We use jQuery as well, which is again a wrapper around the JavaScript, correct? Now, why we call it as a dynamic scripting language? Anyone? Like, okay. Just put down your comments. If you know the answer, please do put down in the comments. You have a comment box, right? So you can put down in the comments. I can check that later. I cannot switch my screens. Sorry for that. Okay, so yeah. So now the problem is when I write anything in JavaScript, the biggest problem is the JavaScript is it doesn't have a data type. A very common example. It doesn't have a data type, right? Now, for example, if I declare a variable, let x equal to 10. Now, the same variable I can reassign with my name. JavaScript doesn't complain about this. When you do this, JavaScript never complains about it, right? And the same variable, again, if I rewrite with the Boolean value, again, it never complains. Now, just imagine I am here to talk about a creating an enterprise level applications. Now, if I create an enterprise application means it has a lot of screens, a lot of components, a lot of code, right? Maybe like 50, 60,000 lines of code. It's very difficult for me to handle this kind of situations where I don't have a proper data type, right? Without a data type, it's going to be very tough. I worked on a lot of JavaScript, and I can literally say it's a mess. If you have a huge code totally written in pure JavaScript, it's a very difficult to handle, right? So this is the biggest problem, right? And we need some solution for this, right? Okay. Now, the second problem with the JavaScript is when you declare any function in JavaScript. Let's say I have a simple function in JavaScript. I'm writing some pseudocode, guys. Okay. Let's say I'm having a function which is going to have x plus y, which is returning me a number, right? Now, if I want to call this function, how do I call it? This is how we call it. What will be the output of this? Obviously, 20. Now, the same function I can call by passing a single parameter as well. It still works, though you will not get the right answer, but it still works. Okay, it never complains. JavaScript never complains. You may get something around something error as a not a number. This is an error, you will get it. But again, this is something at runtime. Correct? This is going to, you will get it at runtime. But the problem is you are still able to call that method. In fact, I can call it this way as well. Again, why this is happening? Because I'm not restricting that I should be passing two arguments. Make sense, everyone? Okay, so what will be the second number here? For if the first number is 10, what will be the second number? The second number will be considered as a undefined. The second number will be considered as a undefined. Okay, now you may have heard about this, right? Undefined, null in JavaScript, right? You may have heard about these terms, undefined, null. So I'll just open my console here. I'm just opening a console. I'm not writing a JavaScript code. I'll write a code at runtime here in the console. Okay. If I declare a variable here, I equal to 10. Oh, sorry, my bad. I equal to 10. Okay. So basically, I am actually declaring a variable with a value 10, right? And if I try to print it, I'll get that value. Okay. Don't worry about this undefined, but you will see you will get an actual output as 10. That means it is actually holding a value of 10. Now, this, okay, now I'm just going back here. And now if I just create a variable x, I'll not assign any value. And if I try to print that value here, what is the expected value here? Whether it should give me null or it should give me undefined. It gives me undefined. Now let's understand what is this undefined and null. Okay. Again, this is very important when it comes to interview as well. It's these questions are also been asked, right? What is the difference between null and undefined? So a very simple example, a simple understanding here. If I declare a variable and I try to print it, that value is the variable is available, right? But there is no value assigned to it. Sorry, log. Okay, and that's where you get undefined. That means my JavaScript is able to see the variable, but it is not able to find the value of it. Okay, there's another situation here. The other situation is I'll have that variable defined on the top, called on the top, but I'm declaring it below. Still, you will get as undefined. You will not get as any error or null. Okay, but the same situation, just see carefully, guys. If I keep it this way, you will get a message, something called as H is not defined in red color. There is a huge difference. H is not defined and undefined are not same. So I'll show you here, same example. I'll just try to replicate here. I'll just try to say console.log H. See? Now this is basically an error, and it is actually because there is no variable declared as H. Make sense? Right? So now how this thing work? Like if I have this variable declared below, how this is not giving me error? Usually the code starts from top to bottom, right? Then why it is not giving an error? Why it is giving as a message as undefined in this case? Now this is because there is a concept called as hoisting in JavaScript. Now what is hoisting? A simple definition, you will get a lot of different definitions in Google, but a simple definition is it's basically what JavaScript does. It scans your code and move the declaration on the top. That means whenever you write, whenever you load any JavaScript file, right, or JavaScript code, what it will do, it will scan the whole code and it sees that, okay, there is a variable used, but that same variable is available at the at some point, right? Maybe after 2 or 3 lines, doesn't matter, but at the same scope. In this case, what it will do, internally, it will move the declaration on the top. You will not be able to see this, but it will move the declaration on the top. Clear? And because of this, because the variable is now available, but not value will not come here. Only the declaration will move on the top, and that's why you will get undefined. And this process is actually called as hoisting. Okay. Clear? Now, why I'm talking about all these things, like the issue with the JavaScript, the function issues, and this hoisting, why are we talking about this one? Because we need to solve these problems. We need to have some solution to these problems so that whenever we design any enterprise applications, we'll be able to manage those applications very smoothly. Clear? Fine. Now, few more things. A very basic thing, right? So I have a variable. Another problem. Let's say I have a variable x, which is 10, and I have a variable y, which is Pradeep. Okay, and I have a variable z where I'm going to say x plus 10 plus y. Now, what is the expected output here? Because y is a string, x is a number, and I'm just adding the number. Adding these 3 variables, right? 2 variables and a number. The output of this would be 20 Pradeep. Strange, right? So why it is happening? Because when it starts evaluating from left to right, it finds the first variable is a number, second is also a number, it adds up. But when it starts seeing a string, it starts concatenating. Okay, same if I reverse it, guys. If I reverse it in this way, what is output here? Now this time the first value is a string, so now my output will be Pradeep 1010. Just imagine the same plus sign is behaving it for concatenating as well, and the same plus sign is behaving for adding to as a number as well. Same if I put it subtract here, it will give an error because subtract will maybe here. If I put subtract, it will behave differently. It will give an error, right? So you can see like very lot of different things happening with JavaScript, right? And this is where we have to find one solution. Okay, and the solution would be learning something called as a TypeScript. Clear? Now, what is this TypeScript? What is this? Now, this is nothing but it's a programming language. It's a programming language, and that too developed by Microsoft. Okay, so it's a programming language developed by Microsoft, and this is basically a superset of JavaScript. Superset of JavaScript. Okay. Now, why we need to learn this TypeScript? Because the Angular which we are going to do it, like the Angular which we are going to use it, that is being developed using TypeScript. So all the code which you are going to write in Angular is going to be in TypeScript. That's the reason we need to understand some concept, some basic. Again, TypeScript is a programming language. That means there is a learning curve for TypeScript. It doesn't mean that you have to learn TypeScript from start to end in a single day. Okay, this is my experience. I'm saying you guys, you don't have to learn TypeScript in a single day, because there are a lot of concepts in TypeScript which keeps evolving in every version. Okay, now the latest version maybe is where do we have that latest version? 5.4. So every version will have a new thing getting added, but we don't have to learn everything in a single day. Okay, it's a learning curve, same like the way we learn C#. In C#, what we do, we learn C# every day. I mean, still today also we learn some of the other syntax of C#. Correct? Same way. But for starting with Angular, you should know some major concepts. Without that, it would be very difficult for you to write the code. And that's what we are going to touch base on this in this training. Clear? One second. So next point is, what provision this TypeScript gives you? Like, what are we going to write down in TypeScript, which is not possible in JavaScript? Now, TypeScript basically allows you a lot of features. Some of the features are providing data types. Then it can follow object-oriented programming. Okay, total object-oriented programming. That means you can create interface, inheritance. You can use a public, private, all the scopes. You can use it, right? That all thing it is possible using TypeScript. Okay, but what is the job of this TypeScript? When I write any code in TypeScript, but my browser only understands JavaScript, my browser never understands the TypeScript. So what is the role of this TypeScript code? This TypeScript code will get compiled to JavaScript, and this JavaScript will be according to ES standard. Now I'm using one more term here, ES. The full form of the ES is EcmaScript. Okay. In this course, you will listen a lot of new terms, right? And I'll focus on those terms. Please make sure that you understand that terms, because these terms are mainly asked in the interviews as well. Okay. Now the question is, what is EcmaScript? What do you mean by according to the EcmaScript standard? EcmaScript. Okay. A simple definition to EcmaScript is, I'll take a different example here. When we write any HTML, right? HTML code, who decided that in HTML div tag should generate or input type should generate a text box? Who has decided this? Someone has decided, right? It should generate a text box. Why it is not generating a drop down? Right? Why it is not generating the drop down? It is generating the text box. That means somewhere the guidelines are provided for HTML, right? And these guidelines are actually available. And who is providing these guidelines for HTML? W3C. Maybe you have heard about this term. Just go and, if you are not, just go and search in Google, right? Same way in JavaScript, when you write a variable with a keyword where, who has decided that where should create a variable? Who has decided that when I have a string and I'll convert that into two lower case, it should convert that string into lower case? Why it is not giving error? Because someone has written that standards or the guidelines. And for JavaScript, The guidelines is provided by EcmaScript. That means there are a lot of syntaxes which works on specific browser. So tomorrow, if I want to launch any new browser, guys, let's say I want to launch my own browser. In that case, what I need to do, I need to follow these standards. I cannot say, okay, I'll have any syntax and I'll make sure it renders. No. So I need to follow these standards, these guidelines. So I would say EcmaScript is nothing but it's a guidelines for scripting. Okay, you will have a very better definition in Google, but these are like a very, very layman language, which I'm trying to explain you. Correct? If you want to write any JavaScript code, it has to be having a EcmaScript standard to be followed. So now what kind of syntaxes does this standard provides? So today, your browser supports a good version of EcmaScript standard. So now, if you guys are working on older, if you have worked on older version of what you say browser i11 was supporting ES5 standard. Now, obviously, everyone has stopped using i11, right? But earlier, i11 was something was following ES5 standard. That means there are some syntaxes which only i11 can understand, and any new syntaxes it won't understand. But today's browser, like Chrome, Edge, and you have Mozilla, right? Commonly used one. This supports ES6 plus. I'm just writing ES6 plus, but majorly it supports now ES10, 11 as well. Okay. Now I'll show you what is this. What you'll see the difference when it generates the code according to ES5 and when it generates the code according to ES6. Okay. When you do the coding, you will understand. Clear? I forgot to open this. 1 second. Do I have this YouTube link opened? Can I get a YouTube link? Well, I'm just wanted to check if there is any comments or anything. I forgot to open that. That's fine. Okay, let's continue here. Now, let's see some coding. Now, I'm just talking here, right? I'm just writing some pseudocode and I'm just talking here. Let's do some coding now, right? That's where we always love to do it. Okay, fine. So as I said, I'll have a VS Code as an editor. So once you have a VS Code editor installed in your system, you can always just type code and just say enter in a run. Automatically, it will open the VS Code for you. That's a shortened syntax. Oh, it opened in my other window. 1 second. I'll just all right. So this is the editor. Now, what do you have in this editor? It's a simple editor. You can write any type of code. You can write a TypeScript. You can write JavaScript. You can write C#. Any kind of code you can write it in this editor. Okay. This editor has a Explorer window. It has a basic search. It has a option to connect to the source control, Git or GitHub, any source control, debug option, and some extensions. Okay, these extensions are basically used for having a better IntelliSense, right? That's it. And this forget about this one. This is for something different which I used it. But yeah, these are the basic things which you'll see. Along with this, you have one terminal as well. My screen is actually showing the header is actually blocked with the meeting link. So you can see there is a terminal as well. I'll just open this terminal. So it comes with a command prompt as well. Correct? Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a folder here. Maybe I'll just create a folder for Questpond. I'm just going to open that folder. And we are going to write all the code here. Okay. Now, guys, whatever we are doing here, okay, every code I'm going to show it from scratch, and I believe in showing practicals. Okay, so throughout the course, I mean, today's the first day, right? So every Saturday, Sunday, we'll be having this five to six batch, 5 to 6, right? In 5 to 6, I'm going to show you a lot of code, lot of explanation, and this source code will be shared with you for future reference. Clear? So that's why I usually create a folder, and whenever I share basically the day-wise content. Okay, and all the code which I'm going to do here, the same code I'm going to share it with you. So I am opening the folder here, and the first thing what I'll do is I'll create a new file here, right? I'm just going to create a file, first sample.ts. Okay, the extension of the TS file or the TypeScript file is .ts. Clear? Now let's do some coding here. So as I said, we have a terminal as well, and we have a explorer, we have the search, right? So I'm just going to write a very simple thing here. Let's say declare a variable. Now the first thing about the TypeScript is, in TypeScript you have data types. In TypeScript you have data types, which is the best part for writing JavaScript code, right? That means if you try to initialize that value with a string, it will complain you on the at the compile time itself. Great, right? So you can always assign with the new value, and that should be of type number. Correct? So you have different data types here. I'm just listing the data types. You have a string data type. You have a what is that? Bool data type. Let's say is valid, colon, boolean, true, false. Now you don't have a decimal data type. You have the same number which can be used for decimal as well. I mean, I can use for decimal as well. You don't have a special data type for decimal, right? And same thing, you also have something called as a any data type. Any means allow any value, x, y, z, and then I can say a1 equal to 10. It will not complain. It's the same like you don't have a data type in JavaScript. Similar, right? Any is also one of the data type. Clear? So you have number, you have string, you have boolean, you have any, and there is a new data type which was introduced in TypeScript, that is unknown data type. Same. Now, why we need two different data types for doing the same job? Correct? Now, the major difference here is this data type, and about this data type is unknown data type can be assigned to unknown only, but any data type can be assigned to, for example, s of string or maybe number, and here I'll say a1. Okay, so I'm assigning my any data type to a string number, which works. But if I try to assign, it gives an error. It says that unknown is not assignable to type number. That means unknown can be assigned to unknown only because it is unknown. It doesn't know the data type, right? It's a new data type, right? So that's why I'm just pointing out unknown can be assigned to unknown. It cannot be assigned to a specific data type. Clear? I'll just give a pause here so that you can just walk through this code, whatever I'm writing here. And by the time I'm just writing the console.log x console.log str console.log is valid, right? We'll just try to print it. Okay. Now these are some variables which I have created. Now I want to run this code because TypeScript, this is a TypeScript code, but I need to run this code. Now for running this code, how can I run it? I need a TypeScript compiler. Okay, for running this code, I need a TypeScript compiler. Now from where I'm going to download this compiler? Because this compiler, you will not get it by as a part of this VS Code. VS Code is like simple editor. In fact, if you guys are aware, this editor is also built using JavaScript. Just imagine the power of JavaScript. This editor is also built using the JavaScript framework called as Electron.js. It looks like a software, right? But it is actually it's basically kind of a browser only. Okay, so just wanted to highlight that your JavaScript is very, very powerful. Clear? Fine. So now I want to run this code. So I need a compiler. To have the compiler downloaded, I need my second software, that is Node.js. Now, what is Node.js? Node.js. What is the software used for? Node.js. Maybe you can just see the definition itself here. It's basically a JavaScript runtime. It's basically a JavaScript runtime, and definitely the cross-platform. Cross-platform in the sense it can work on any Windows or Linux, any platform. Cross-platform JavaScript runtime. That means earlier, if you guys have worked with a earlier traditional JavaScript, what we used to do, we always need a browser to run the JavaScript code. Correct? Did you ever seen a JavaScript file created and you run it? For example, if I have the JavaScript file here, I'll just show you here. I'm going to add a JavaScript file here. Click test.js. And if I have alert here, hello, can I run this JavaScript file directly, but just by double clicking? No, I cannot run it. Why? Because JavaScript always require a background, which we call it as a screen, or sorry, a window to run the code. And that window is nothing but your browser window. Now, what do you mean by that? I said like it always needs a window to run the code. What do you mean by that? That means, let me show you here, guys. These are all interesting things, guys. Whenever you learn about JavaScript and all, you always see this. Remember, I declared a variable here in console. When I printed that variable, I just said console.log and I. But this time, if I write window.i, still I get the same output. Now, this clearly shows that whenever you do any variable, whenever you declare any variable or anything in JavaScript, internally it uses a window keyword as the parent window. And window is nothing but your browser window. So in short, what I'm trying to say here is, whenever you run any JavaScript, you need a browser. That was a belief, right? That we used to do it. Correct? In fact, when you write a document.getElement by ID, it's always a window.document.getElement by ID. We just skip that keyword window. But if you use a window, it still works, right? But now I'm saying today, with the help of a Node.js, we don't need even the browser to run the JavaScript code. We can run this JavaScript code without the browser as well. How? Because this Node.js, if you install a Node.js, it provides a runtime environment to run your JavaScript code. Okay, clear, everyone? And it's open source as well, free and open source. Okay, this is one point about the Node.js. Node.js has a lot of features. I mean, I cannot talk about each and every feature of Node.js, but one of the thing what Node.js provides is it provides a tool called as NPM, Node Package Manager. It provides a tool called as a NPM, Node Package Manager, and we are required. We wanted this tool for this Angular training. We don't want to learn everything, anything about the Node.js. Okay, because in Node.js you can do a lot of things. You can even create servers using Node.js. What do you mean by that? You can have a server which same like your IIS. You can also have a Node server, and these Node servers are actually running behind with the JavaScript code. So you can have these Node servers, right? So you have a lot of things available with Node.js. I mean, I'll not list down all those things, but what we are focused here is we wanted this Node Package Manager. Now, what is this Node Package Manager? I'm sure everyone has used this command, npm. Whoever has worked on Angular or a React or any client framework, they may have used this command npm, right? Now, what is Node Package Manager? It basically allows you. It's a command that allows you to download the packages from repository. Okay, it allows you to download the packages from repository. What kind of packages? For example, I want a jQuery package, or I want a React library, or I want Knockout library. Correct? So these packages, I can easily download it using this command. But from where it is going to download it? Now it is going to download it from a repository, npm org. There is a public repository, I would say. There's a repository wherein all the packages are available. In fact, you can upload your packages as well in that repository. Okay, there is a difference. There is a step through which I can create my own library and I can upload that package with versioning and all, right? Second important thing about this package manager is it resolves interdependencies. Okay, what do you mean by that? For example, you have a package, Bootstrap. Okay, I want to download a Bootstrap, but Bootstrap is actually dependent on jQuery. Let's assume it. And jQuery is dependent on ABC. These are all different JS available in market. Now, if you see the dependencies, that means if I want to run the Bootstrap, the first thing is I need a jQuery to be available. But if I want to run a jQuery, maybe I need this ABC as a library available. Correct? Without that, I cannot run this Bootstrap code because it will give errors for all the syntaxes. Right? So in that case, what will happen is when I say I wanted to download Bootstrap, it will automatically download ABC as well. It will download jQuery as well. And it will then download the Bootstrap as well. So it will automatically resolve your interdependent libraries. You don't have to download it by yourself manually. That your Node packager can do it. Clear? Okay, good. If you have any questions, please do put in the chat. We'll take up that questions later. Okay, I'll just give a pause. And I'll be sharing these notes as well, guys. So usually I have a habit of creating a notes. I call it as a running notes. And I keep sharing these notes day-wise in the same group. Okay, so for example, this is day 1 for me. Same way I'll adding a day 2, day 3. Okay, fine. Now, quickly, I have Node.js installed with me. You can see Node.js is installed. Now, which version of Node.js you are going to install? That you can get it from the website. I'm opening the website here, nodejs.org. Okay. For those who have not worked on any kind of a client frameworks, for them, this is very important. and who are already been working with Angular or any kind of client frameworks or client libraries, they are aware about these things possibly, right? But for others, this is very important. So please just have a look here. You can install the version of Node.js. Now there are two versions always available. One is LTS version, one is a current version. LTS versions are basically called as long-term support version. That means these are stable version. A lot of people have started using it, right? And then you have an operating system option here to download from which operating system you want it. And then comes something called as a now. This is I'm sure most of them people have been facing this, and I've seen people asking these questions to me every time. When you install any version of Node.js, okay, now that comes with a particular version of Angular as well. Now tomorrow, if I want to update this version of Node.js to 21, it basically start uninstalling that older version of Node. It keeps only one version. Okay, it always keeps one version with you, but now I want 3 or 4 versions to be available with me. Now for doing that, we have something called as a node version manager. This can you see NVM? This is called as a node version manager, and this is called as a fast node manager. Something if I can, yeah, fast node manager. Okay. Now what this basically do here? They help me to install multiple version of node. I have NVM installed with me, so you can see now. I'll show you something here, guys, in the command prompt. You can see I have multiple versions of Node. So if I just check what version of Node is installed with me, Node version -v, it's 20. But if I show you which all versions I have it in my system, I'll just type NVM list. You can see I have 5 versions, maybe 6 versions. And that's possible because I have Node version manager installed with me. Okay. Same way, I can switch my versions. Maybe I'll say I wanted to use NVM use 21.7.3. It will switch automatically to that version. It's asking me a permission. Clear? Just a point to note, guys, because I've seen people asking us, a developer asking these questions most of the time. So these are different version managers options we have it here, FNM and NVM. Once you install that, you will be able to do this switching and off of this node. Clear? Cool. Now I have a node installed with me. Now what I wanted to install a package for my code to run. Which package I want to install? TypeScript package. So when I install the node, my npm also got installed. As I said, npm is a tool within the node. Okay, npm is a tool within the node. So here, if I just type npm, it should not give an error for me. It should work. Just bear with me, a little slow. Because I usually create a lot of Angular projects, right? So it takes a lot of space. Right? So my command is working. So that means it's working for me. Clear? Fine. So now quickly, I'll just go and install where is my terminal? I can click on this one and open the terminal, and I'm going to install quickly npm install, and I'll say which package I want to install, TypeScript. Okay. This is already been installed in my system because I've been using this for a long time, right? So it is already been installed, but I can say TypeScript CRI, sorry for you can provide a specific version, 5.4 point whatever the version, else it will install the latest version of TypeScript. Okay. Once you install this TypeScript, automatically you will see TSC command should start working. See, it's not giving error for the TSC command. Correct? So now let's do one thing. What I'll do is I'll just run this command tsc and provide the file name first sample.ts. Now it has compiled my file and it has generated a JavaScript file. Okay, you can see the JavaScript file. In JavaScript, you don't, as I said, it doesn't support the data type. So you can see there is no data type for this JavaScript. Correct? But when I write a TypeScript, I have data types. And here I'll just say node command, and I can run that JavaScript file without loading in the browser. This is what I was talking about, that you don't need a browser to run the JavaScript anymore. You can use a node command to run the JavaScript files. Clear, everyone? I hope everyone is understanding it. If you are understanding it, it's very good, because this is how we are going to have a lot of different topics covering in these sessions, right? In Angular sessions. This is like a very first sessions and very basic I'm talking here. But as we go ahead, we are going to see a lot of interesting things in Angular. So just want to reiterate here. We have around like 10 to 15 minutes of time. I just want to reiterate. Someone is raising a hand, but you can just put in the question in the chat. Yeah, just want to reiterate. Do we have to install this? Okay, I missed the chats here. I'll come to that chats, guys. I can see a lot of questions. Yeah. So just want to reiterate. This sessions is going to be conducted every weekend, Saturday, Sunday, 5 to 6, and 5 to 6 is, I think, the ideal time. It's a tea time for you. You can have a cup of tea with you when you are sitting in front of the system, so that your mind is fresh, and you will be learning a lot of new interesting things. Okay. Around 10 to 11 sessions would be conducted based on the topics which we have mentioned in the in this website. You can go through that in the website, Questpond website. So, and in these sessions, we have almost having major topics which is very much required for your day-to-day development. Trust me, whatever the topics which I mentioned in that this training, these are very much important in your day-to-day development. And these are the questions which have been asked very frequently in interviews as well. Okay. And because I come from a developer background, I know what are the pain areas. So I always say this thing. When you're actually a developer, you know what are the pain areas a developer always face, right? Learning any new technology. So I want to just make simple to learn these concepts and understand how simple is to develop any application in Angular. Okay. Challenges would be there. Definitely challenges would be there. I cannot say that challenges won't be there when you are learning anything, but I wanted to make little simpler. When you actually start working, you can always see how simple it is to do it. That simplicity, I'm just going to keep it in this training. Clear? And second thing, the concept which we are going to talk about, that is enough to show a very good experience. Even though you are not worked on any live project, these concepts are enough to show a very good experience if you are thorough with the concepts. If you're thorough with that concepts, whatever we are going to cover here during the sessions, I'll ensure you that is enough for showing a very good experience. You never always get a chance to work on projects, right? Real-time projects. But when you want to work on this any of projects, or when you want to switch a job, right? The very important thing is you need to be aware of the concepts, clear on the concepts. So whatever we are going to cover, that should be very good enough to have that concepts clear. Clear? Fine. I'll take up few questions here first, and then I'll go ahead. Will you cover Angular component lifecycle? Yes, I'm going to cover Angular component lifecycle because that's also a very important part of Angular. Do we need to install Node.js from the computer like IDE, or every project like library reference? Do we need to install Node.js for the computer like IDE? So okay, so you don't have to install Node.js if you are actually using. I mean, if you're not. One second. Oh, for with like ID. No. So when you install a Node.js, it basically comes with two things. One is a command. It comes with some command line interface. We call it as a CLI, and also there is a UI as well. Where's my cursor? Oops. Okay. So if I say Node.js, it comes with a Node.js and one CLI as well, command prompt as well. Node.js command prompt. Okay. This is what we get it. It doesn't have any UI as such. Do I need to update Node version every time when Angular updates? Uh, Very good question. Do I need to update a Node version with every time? It Yes, definitely, because at some point of time, Node doesn't support the particular version of Angular CLI. So you need to keep updating the versions as well. That would be a requirement. I'll come to that. And when we are going to do it, we'll talk about touch base on those things, right? Do we need to install Node.js first or NVM? NVM is basically, if you search in Google, you will search. Basically a kind of a small CLI kind of interface. You just have to install that first. It doesn't matter. You have to have a Node first or NVM first. Could you please make VS Code background dark mode? Okay. Yes, definitely. We'll do that next session. I need to be used to with that then if I keep it as a dark mode. Okay, guys. Cool. And I think other questions have been answered by our team as well. Any other questions? Do ask us. I was just checking one of the, I mean, my uh, teams where I was getting the questions. I forgot to open my YouTube link where it is going live. Uh, do share that link if anyone is having. Sorry. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, now the second important thing is, so you can see my code is running, right? Now we'll see some more concepts in Angular. Sorry, TypeScript. We are not going to touch base anything on Angular today. Our major focus is to understand first the TypeScript before jumping into Angular. Okay. The second thing is, in TypeScript, you can also declare a variable using let keyword. Let x1 number equal to 10. And you can also declare a variable that y1 number equal to 100. Now, what is the difference between this let and where? Okay. Now, all that problems which we are talking about here, right? Now, I'll show you how that can be resolved here. A simple definition for understanding the difference between let and where is, I'll try to use the same variable inside the if block. Okay, and make it as a 20 and 200. And I'll just try to print the value of x1 and y1. X1 and y1. Same thing, I'll try to print it outside as well. Okay, let's try to compile this file again, because whenever you make change, it has to be compiled first. So command is tsc. I'll write down here. How do we install TypeScript? Install TypeScript. Command is npm install TypeScript. And you can provide a version if you need. Okay. Now installation can be done in two ways. You can install it globally or you can install it locally. Globally means it will get installed in your users folder. In your users folder, it will get installed. That means you don't have to install it every time. It gets installed here. Here there is a folder called as a roaming, and inside that it gets installed. Okay. And if you don't provide -g, it will get installed locally. Okay, clear? Once you are installed with that, you will be using tsc and then the file name .ts. And then to run the command, run the file, you will use file name .js. These are the commands we are going to use it. Okay. Just for learning TypeScript, not for the Angular. For Angular, we have some other commands. Done. So quickly, where is my code? Yeah, here. So let's try to compile first sample.ts. Oh, sorry. I click first sample.js ts. And then node first sample.js. And you can see what output I'm going to get here. Node, sorry, I didn't save the file, my bad. Yeah, what is wrong here? Ah, my bad. The file name is, 1 second, guys. Delete this file. I'm just going to delete this file. First sample.ts. And now, yeah, now it is proper. It actually created a different file. Yes. Now you can see the output here. The output, what it is showing here, 2020, because it is 2200 because it is inside the block. But when it came outside the block, it is showing 10 and 200. Why it is showing 10? My x1 value is actually, latest value is 20, but it is showing me 10. That means when I use a let keyword, it uses a blocked scope. And when I use a where, it uses function scope or the global scope. Is it clear? Function scope or the global scope. This is a very important point to be noted here. So going forward, you should start avoiding using the where keyword, and you should start using the let keyword because it uses the blocked scope. Now I'll show you one more example for let and where. For example, if I have a for loop, and inside the for loop, I'll say where I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. Okay, I right click and I'll just do a formatting, and I'll just try to print that value here, console.log and I. So what is the expectation here? Console.log I. So it will print 0 to 4, correct? But when it come outside the block, it will print 5 as well. Just check. CLS, TSC for sample.ts, and then I'll say node for sample.js, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 also has been printed. Though the condition is already been crossed, still it is showing me 5. Why? Because the variable is still available. The variable has not got out of scope. But if I use a let here, you will see automatically it will start giving me a compile error. It says I don't find I. Clear? Make sense? So this is another very important about the let. Third example would be when I declare a variable. Remember I talked about hoisting. I have a variable equal to 100, but I'm printing that variable before the value. In this case, you will see, though it is giving me an error, but you will be able to run the code. Though it is giving me an error here, I'll just comment out this. This will give an error for me. This is not an error for me. It will allow me to run the code, but it will print me undefined. Why? Because the hoisting process gets executed. It will just move the declaration on the top. Clear? But when I use a let, it will not allow me to do hoisting. This message is coming because I think I already have a variable a1. I'll just change this variable to b1. Okay. Yeah, you can see b1 is also there. Array, sorry. C1 doesn't matter. Yeah, so you can see now I'm getting an error. Blocked scope used before declaration. And it will give a compile error. Actually, give you a compile error. TSC for sample. It gives an error. If I use a where, it will give me an output. See, it's working. Node for sample.js, you see it's giving me undefined. Clear, everyone? So understand the importance between the let and where. So going forward, you should be using a let. But now, just for your knowledge, whatever we are doing in the TypeScript, right? But the same syntax is also now available in JavaScript as well. Let, you can use it even in JavaScript, because as I said, the latest browsers are supporting ES 6 plus standard, and in ES 6 we have a syntax where we can use let keyword, we can use class keyword. So that means in JavaScript also you can use class, let. Some of the syntaxes is still available in JavaScript as well now. Clear? So I can use that let keyword in my JS file as well. It should work. Okay, cool. I hope everyone is understanding. Again, this is a very first session where we just wanted to talk about like very basic about the JavaScript and starting with the TypeScript. In the next session, which is going to be conducted tomorrow at 5 p.m., we are going to cover major topics for TypeScript. That's class, and in class also there are a lot of twists and turns. Just for this is not like same like a C# class. There are a lot of little bit uh, changes in this kind of TS classes. I mean, about the overloading, you will see little differences. So we are going to cover classes. We are going to cover modules. We are going to cover inheritance. Right? We are going to cover the configuration about the TS config. There is a TS config file which usually you have it by default, right? When you create any project in Angular, you have something a TS config file. We'll talk about some settings in TS config. And then also we are going to start with the Angular as well. So we are going to create an Angular project tomorrow, Angular project, and we'll understand some structure. What when you create any project, it creates a scaffolding, right? That scaffolding we need to understand what all files gets created, what is the importance of each and every file. We'll understand that file, and then also we'll start with data binding concept. Okay. Again, I'm just giving you a very high level. We are going to see in detail. We are going to see all these examples in detail in the next session. And if time permits, also I'll talk about directives and components and directives, different types of directives. Okay. Don't worry, these terms, if you are hearing it for the first time, we are going to talk about in detail about these topics. But just wanted to just wanted to show what all topics we are going to cover in next session, so that everyone is available, right? If you are interested in getting this, understanding these topics, you should be available. So again, these sessions are, we don't want to keep it very heavyweight sessions. We just want to keep it very light. So 1 hour session, maybe it goes 5-10 minutes up above and beyond. So it's fine. But again, we want to keep it very light sessions so that you learn something and you grasp those things, right? When you come back, you should be very clear with that concepts. Clear? Okay. It's time to wrap now. And I see if I can get into that YouTube chat. Yeah, here it is. Oh, I actually called it. Sorry. Where is my chat? Do we have any questions here? No. Okay, fine. Don't see any questions. Anyone else having any questions in the teams, please do post it. If not, anyhow, we are going to connect it tomorrow. Are you going to create a live project? Yes. So my intention is, again, guys, I'll just tell you the process here. My intention is to create a project and make you understand each and every concept, adding this each and every concept in the same project, so that when you see that at the end of this all the sessions, you will see a project has been created with all the topics covered in that. Okay, so we are going to do everything live in front of the sessions. I mean, I'm not going to have a ready-made code available with me. Everything I'm going to do it from scratch. Clear? Okay, so thanks everyone for joining in. I hope you like the session. If you want to see more interesting things, more interesting topics, do join in the next sessions, which is going to be conducted tomorrow and every week, I would say, every weekend. I'm sure every weekend uh, everyone is having holiday, right? So spend 1 hour of time and you can enjoy the sessions and you can learn something new every week. Thank you and have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the day and we'll see you tomorrow.